Good morning, Web3 community, and thank you so much for joining the December Infura Developer Community Call. We have some fantastic guests joining us today. We have Jasper from Global Income Coin, Hsin-Ju from Dystopia Labs, and Henri from Starkware.
Hello.
Hey everyone, thank you guests. So we got an action-packed agenda. So we're going to go ahead and dive in, and we're going to introduce each guest and give you a rundown of the topic they're going to present. First off, we have Kugan, who just joined the platform advocacy team at Infura. He's going to be giving us a rundown of some awesome new features that we just built out for you on Infura. Next, we have Henri. He's a dev advocate lead at Starkware. He's going to be giving you a high-level overview of the StarkNet platform and also giving you some details on the Cairo 1.0 release. Next, we have Jasper from GLOW, or Global Income Coin, which is a stablecoin that attempts to alleviate global poverty. And then finally, we have Hsin-Ju, founder of Dystopia Labs. She's going to be giving you a rundown of their 2023 Ethereum community event schedule. Alrighty. So I'm going to go ahead. Oops. Alrighty. So first off, let's kick the mic over to Kugan and go ahead.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kugan Brennan. I am a lead dev advocate for Infura, and I wanted to share with you all some new features as part of our community call. Can everybody see my screen? Is that coming through okay?
Yep.
Beautiful. Alrighty, so this is a very familiar sort of login here, but as you enter in here, you might see that the UI has changed. We got an updated UI, a little bit of UX UI improvements, a little bit of nav bar tweaking, and just wanted to go over and just show you all the new interface that we have going now. As you can see, it's the normal bars up here. Projects are now named keys, so all your projects will be listed under keys. You still have your stats bar here. We have a great video in our docs now walking through what the stats, breaking down the stats bar, which I'll share in just a second. We have our transactions where we do our ITX, and great way to handle edge cases, make sure stuff's getting delivered in the most timely and efficient manner. And last but very not least, our IPFS tab here. So the walkthrough here is the same as it always is. Create a new network. We have our Web3 API. We'll call this community call super sick app. Oops, there we go. We're going to create this here. And then as you can see, we have all our networks available here, including our lovely Starknet. Shout out Starknet. And I wanted to highlight that the newest network that we have here is Celo. Celo was added in November, which brings up to 12 networks that Infura provides for. That includes Ethereum L1s, Ethereum sidechains, L2s and rollups, all these sorts of incredible things. There's a lot of great documentation about Celo. I'm going to put it in the chat after I'm done talking here. And yeah, so this is a great way to get started, a great way to look at all the different networks and endpoints and start building. We also have a great article about how to choose a blockchain network from all our different options. So I'll share that as well. Last but not least, a really exciting addition that we've made is, so IPFS has been extremely popular in terms of NFTs and making sure that content is pinned and available globally at all times. And we actually have a new UI for uploading content using our dashboard. So typically you've had to use a command line to upload for IPFS, but now directly from your dashboard, you can drag and drop. Here we go. I got a nice screenshot here of our stats page that I'm just going to upload, and bada bing, bada boom, successfully pinned. We can close this here, and we can see that this was uploaded December 20th, 11:09, right here. We got the IPFS naming scheme. We got it ready to go. This is ready to go. It's pinned. It's available for our latest NFT drop. It's just the best. So this makes it so easy to upload IPFS content. Make sure that it's pinned, meaning that it's going to be available. If you upload it on your own, you have to pin it on your own. If you upload it through Infura, you're guaranteed that it's going to be pinned and people will be able to access it through the network. So those are the major updates. Check it out, app.infura.io, log in, let us know what you think. And yeah, that's the latest. We'll be back in 2023 with some more updates. Thanks so much, Chris.
Yeah, thank you, Coogan. Yeah, that's so awesome. Like, we're up to 12 networks now here supported at Infura. And the IPFS UI upload, such a great quality of life, update for developers. So next up, we got Henri. Gonna go ahead and kick it over to you. So go ahead and share your screen whenever you're ready.
Hey everyone! Thank you for having me on the show. Let me share my screen. So, can you now see my screen? It should say, "Why are people excited about ZK Rollups and Starknet in particular?" Well, good to hear. So, I'm going to speak for a few minutes, and I've been speaking about Starknet for about a year. My name is Henri. I work at Starknet. I'm a developer advocate for Starknet. So my job is to explain to people what Starknet is and what kind of cool stuff they can build on top of it. So after talking with various people, what's really interesting is that ZK rollups are a new creature. They're a new kind of network, and different people get excited for different reasons. So after a while, I decided to try to outline, it's just a couple of slides, why people get excited about ZK rollups and Starknet, and try to catalyze why in those few slides. So there's 5 topics I want to cover. I'm going to go extremely quickly on each, and I could spend like 30 minutes easily on each of these topics, but I'm going to cover briefly on each, and maybe not all of them will click with you, but probably some will. So this is just a way for you to get interested in what is doable in Starknet, and maybe give it a spin. So the first thing people get excited about when we talk about ZK rollups is the fact that you get cheap computation in your smart contracts in ZK rollup. The reason for that is that the basic building block of a ZK rollup is with the concept of a proof. the ability for me to run a program and to give the output of this program to you, Chris, along with a proof. And you can verify the proof without having to execute the program. And you have mathematical trustless guarantees that I executed the program correctly. Now, this sounds like a nice tool, but when you realize that it solves one of the main bottleneck of blockchains today, it really takes another dimension. Right now, blockchains are slow because we need a whole lot of machines, some of them managed by Infura, to actually run the network and do the same computation. They're not distributed network, they're replicated. Everyone is doing the same work just to make sure that nobody is cheating. With this new tool, you can start delegating execution. You can have specialized actors execute code, and then other actors verify that the code is correct. And so this really allows a diversion between people who execute and people who verify. And so this allows you to have a decentralized network where a lot of small players can verify what is happening using the capacity of very big machines. And you don't care if there are just a few of them, because you don't care whether they're honest or not, because if they give you the right output, you'll know it. And if they give you a bad output, you don't know for sure. So you don't have to trust them. Right, so this makes it possible for you basically to run a blockchain network where you leverage the power of a supercomputer. I'll say this again. It lets you use in your smart contract the capacity of a supercomputer or an extremely powerful machine. So what can you do with that? So you get actors. We see a lot of activity here in the gaming sector. So we have people like Brick creating complex gameplays and complex video games on chain. We have and Brick and Influence also. We get Topology, who are creating world simulations. Go figure, like physics engine. They actually get to not only put the asset exchange of their game on chain, but actually have physics enforced on chain, not off chain by a server, but really on chain. So you can have a much richer gameplay. We have people having a lot of fun with on-chain generative art. When you can do if you've ever written or played with a generative art algorithm, you've probably felt a bit frustrated with the cost of that on Ethereum. Well, on the Rollups and with Starknet, you can run these things for a lot longer with a lot more complexity. And you can also imagine doing verifiable neural network execution. Some people have already done that. Go figure, the people at Topology. So this is an extremely interesting area of research people are focusing on. So that's the first thing people get excited for ZK rollups, right? Cheap computation. The second one is account abstraction. So account abstraction is not specific to ZK rollup, but it's a concept that is explored by many other chains. And the concept is the following: when you interact with Ethereum, you interact with a couple of private key, public key. And the only way for you to interact with the network is to sign a transaction with that specific private key on a specific cryptographic curve, right? The authentication of your transaction is with the network. The principle of account abstraction is that there's no such thing as an EOA. The basic building block for people to authenticate is a smart contract. Your wallet is a smart contract. And then you can authenticate with your smart contract however you wish. You can use a public private key. You can use your Face ID authentication. You can use a password, you can use your email access, you can use 2FA, you can imagine whatever you want. You can forward whatever kind of logic in your account contract. And so this really allows you to redefine asset ownership and to redefine the UX, the deep UX of which you have with the blockchain. Right, so who do we have building here? Well, now there are a couple more actors than when I first did this slide, but the first one I want to mention are Argent X and Bravos, who are building a wallet extension. And they're providing a really nice UX where you get to deploy your smart contract wallet and you can customize it with things like, social recovery or 2FA or Bravos has a hardware wallet in your phone inside their applications. I want to mention also Cartridge, who are doing session keys for gaming. They recently did an NFT drop where you could claim your asset and sign a transaction with your Face ID on your phone. How cool is that? Right? So there's really a lot of things you can explore with account abstraction. It really allows both having more security and onboarding more people to blockchain. So that's the second point people are excited about with ZK Rollup: cheap computation, account abstraction. The third one is trustless bridging. At its core, a bridge is a way for two blockchains to talk with each other. The state of how things are with bridges right now is that there really is no way for two blockchains to talk with each other because they can't understand what is happening in each other's context, right? For example, Ethereum has no way of understanding what is happening on Bitcoin. It could happen, but it's way too complex to execute in a smart contract. And so you need an oracle in the middle to say, yes, this happened on Bitcoin, or yes, this happened on Ethereum. In other words, blockchain can't talk natively. They need humans to do the translation. Well, Starknet's bridge is really cool for two reasons. The first one is that it doesn't need a human in the middle. The fact that Starknet creates a proof of its execution makes Ethereum able to understand what happened on Starknet and verify it trustlessly directly in a smart contract. You don't need multi-sigs, you don't need signatures, you don't need validators. Starknet did something and Ethereum is able to understand it. It's the first case that I know of two blockchains talking with each other natively. So that's really cool. The second thing is that bridges, when you think about bridges right now, probably you're thinking about bridging funds or maybe NFT, which is nice, but you can do a lot more than funds and NFTs on blockchain. You can do permissions, you can do governance, you can do a lot more stuff. So why not do that with your bridge? So Starknet's bridge allows you to transfer data between one chain and the other, and you decide what this data is. And this data can allow you to design your own protocol, to design your own bridge, whether it's for ERC20s, whether it's for ERC721, whether it's in order to have governance on L2, liquidity on L1. And the fact that there's little delay in the bridge means that you can really see Starknet as an extension to L1. You can execute code and execute logic on L2 that affect asset on L1. So who's doing what? We get Snapshot working on Snapshot X, a governance module that lives on Starknet. You get Aave and Maker who are operating their own bridge. They don't depend on us. They're operating their own DAI and staked ETH. No, it's not staked ETH, stake USDC for Aave on Starknet. And you, why not? Come build your own bridge. So that was the first topic, right? Cheaper computation, account abstraction, trustless bridging. The fourth one I want to talk about is storage proof. The concept of storage proof is a bit of a mindfuck, right? So I'm going to try to explain it really quickly. You know how I explained earlier that Stark proofs allow you to prove that some computation happened? Well, now imagine I want Ethereum to be able to interpret what is happening on Bitcoin. You could write code that runs a Bitcoin node inside of Ethereum, but it would be extremely expensive, right? You could, though, write the code of a Bitcoin node that is provable, and once you've executed it up to a certain point, you can prove what happened on Bitcoin. In a nutshell, storage proof allow you to do this. They allow you to prove that on a specific blockchain, something happened at a specific point in time. And you could do the same with Ethereum. You could do the same with a bunch of other blockchains. You can receive data from other chain and import state, smart contract state, or historical data from other chains. It's like CRISPR-Cas9 for blockchain. You get to extract state and use it in your application from another chain. That's extremely powerful. So what can you do with that? Snapshot is using this for Snapshot X. They're basically extracting data from a given block time to know who has how much token in a trustless manner and without you having to bridge it, and use it as weight for people to vote in Starknet. You can use it for network health post-processing. You can use it to import assets that were on one chain to another chain without having the assets move and things like that. So it's really a weird area, but it has a lot of possibilities and it's really interesting. It's the fourth thing I wanted to talk about. Again, cheap computation, account abstraction, trustless bridging, storage proof, and the fifth one is fractal scaling. So fractal scaling is a fancy term which is actually remarkably correct, because fractal scaling basically designates the concept of recursion. So you remember what I said in the beginning, that ZK rollups rely on the fact that I can execute a program, generate a proof that I executed it, and send you the result and the proof, right? And then you get to verify the proof and you don't have to execute the program. Where this is really interesting is because it will take you exponentially less time to verify the proof than it will take me to execute the program, right? So there's a gain in efficiency. Recursion is basically what happens if I execute a program, I send you the proof, and then you execute a program to verify that proof, and then you generate a proof that you did just that. Then all of a sudden, we can compress the verification time even a little more. And we can use this in a lot of directions. That's why we use this. This term is fractal scaling. We can use it in order to get better latency between Starknet and Ethereum. We can use it to have more data in a single proof. We can use it to reduce cost. We can use it in order to create layers of network, right? The same way you have Starknet as a L2 to Ethereum, you could have an app-specific Starknet as an L3 to Starknet, or application-specific rollups as an L3 to Starknet also. And then you get to choose how you design data availability, how you design all the parameters of your network so that it's optimized for your use case. And all of this is trustless. So that's why people get really excited about it. And then there's the whole dimension of what happens when you can verify proof in your smart contract. What you can do with that. I'm not going to get too much into that. That was my presentation. I want to leave you with two things. The first thing is, where do I start? Here are two links if you're a dev and you're interested in figuring out what you can do with Starknet and Cairo, which is the smart contract language we've had to design to leverage proofs. You can check these two QR codes. The first one will give you a very simple overview of what the syntax of Cairo look like, and you'll figure out that it's not that difficult. And then the second one will give you a bunch of links to get more on board. Now, I want to end this presentation with a few words on where we're going with everything that I've presented. So the first update I want to share is indeed what Kugan just posted in the chat about Cairo 1. We're in the middle of a major overhaul of our smart contract language, which is called Cairo, and Cairo 1 will bring two new big things to the party. The first one is that the syntax is going to be much more Rust-like and much easier to use than it is currently. You will get a lot of nice things that will make the syntax easier, and it will just in general make your experience better as a Cairo dev. The second one is that it will bring failed transactions to Starknet, which is something we don't have currently. Starknet is still being developed, and we still miss this. And once we have that, the network will be much, much more reliable. So this is a major improvement, and we're very happy to have this finally be upon us. It should be probably like middle of Q1 next year. And if you want to leverage Cairo, develop applications, I strongly encourage you to go on, use Infura, because it makes it really easy for you to spin up your own node and get access to the chain and to build your app on top of it. And I want specifically to give a huge, huge shout out to the teams at Infura, because Starknet is evolving quite fast. We ship a lot of features, and sometimes it's it's not that it's difficult to keep up with, because the guys the people at Infura are trailblazers, and they've been used to having a lot of updates all the time. It's just that it's a lot of work, and we're very grateful for all the efforts they're putting to have their API up and running, and it's one of the best we have. So kudos on that, guys, and thanks for the hard work. And I'm done with my presentation. I just went over 15 minutes. Sorry about that.
Wow. Go ahead and drop that mic, Henri. That was amazing. You guys are doing some out of this world stuff at Starkware. Like I thought it was amazing just for ZK Rollup to like bundle up 1,000 transactions and then be able to verify single proof without individually verifying transactions. But then you go into this fractal scaling stuff where you apply that principle to another layer that recursively that's that's the mind blowing stuff. I guess
that's why it's fun.
I guess that's why they call it moon math. So.
Well, cool. That's the cool thing. Like it is moon math, but when you build the right tool on top of it, it doesn't feel like it. You can develop on blockchain without being a pro cryptographer, and I think you can develop on ZK rollups without knowing how Stark proofs work in detail. So come try out. Only way to find out.
Sure. Yeah. So I guess abstracting away that complexity is like, one of the keys. But next up, we got Jasper from Glow, from Global Income Coin. So going to go ahead and kick the mic over to you. Go ahead and share your screen.
Yeah, will do. Thanks so much. I'm super excited to be here. Let me just pull up my slides. Is this visible for everyone?
Yep. Yeah, we can see you. Go ahead.
Cool. So thanks so much. I'm Jasper. I am one of the co-founders of Glow. And today I'll explain to you that whatever you are building on Web3, you can make your project contribute to a solution to extreme poverty by using a stablecoin called Glow. So if you take away one thing from this short talk, it's that Glow is a new stablecoin. We'll launch early 2023. We are the what I call boring kind of stablecoin. So we're centralized, we're backed to the dollar, and we're 100% fiat backed, just like, for instance, Circle and Tether. With the difference that if you hold Glow, you generate basic income for people living in extreme poverty. And this happens at no cost to you, and it happens completely automatically. And I know that sounds too good to be true, but I'll explain how that works in a little bit. First, let me share with you one image that explains the Glow dollar. The Glow dollar is a cryptocurrency that's a stablecoin, and if our market cap goes up, the number of people in extreme poverty goes down. So as you might be aware of, there are a couple kinds of stablecoins. You have the fiat-backed stablecoins who are managed by a old school off-chain company. And then you have the decentralized stablecoins, which can be crypto-backed, like DAI, or they can be algorithmic, like Terra was. I'm going to not talk about these last two. I'm just going to talk about fiat-backed stablecoins because Glow is also one of these stablecoins. And I often call these the boring kind of stablecoins because they work in a very boring way. And that's this way. So let's say you are a person and you have a bank account and you have a crypto wallet. The crypto wallet is empty, but you have $5 in your bank account. And now you want some stablecoins. So what you do is you send your real dollars to the stablecoin issuer. So this is a non-crypto bank-to-bank transaction. The stablecoin issuer then creates 5 stablecoins specifically for you. They create it out of the blue, and they send that to your wallet. So that is, for instance, an Ethereum transaction. And that's that. Now you have 5 stablecoins, and the stablecoin issuer keeps your real dollars in their fiat reserve. And that is how the stablecoins maintain the value of the dollar, because you can always reverse this transaction. Whenever you want, you can just send them the stablecoins back. They will burn your stablecoins. They will send you your real money back. And now we're back to square one. And a lot of people think about crypto as a way to make profit, but of course, the thing about stablecoins is that you did not make a profit in this process. That's the whole point of stablecoin, right? Is that it doesn't go up in value, it doesn't go down in value either. However, you didn't make a profit, but what's interesting is that the stablecoin issuer actually did make a profit. So how does that work? Well, let's go back to this moment where you bought the 5 stablecoins and they have your $5. Now, they didn't actually just keep your dollars collecting dust in their bank account. What they did was they used some of these dollars, for instance, 4 out of 5, and they went to the US government, and then they sent the government the money, and they got back something called T-bills. So what are T-bills? T-bills are government bonds. So they're essentially loans to the US government. So you lend the US some government some money, and then in the future you get that money back, but you also get some extra money back, which is called yield. This is often considered a very low risk investment because it is backed by the full faith and credit of the US government, as they say. And you can kind of think about this as staking your money, because what you're basically doing is you're locking up your fiat for 3 or 6 or 12 months. So you can make some money this way, and you might wonder how much money. That depends. It varies through time. So right now, 3-month T-bills, which are the lowest risk T-bills, they give you a yield of 4.2% per year, but that's a little higher. So on average, if you go back through history, it has been 3.4% per year. So that's how stablecoins make their money. You send them dollars, they keep it in the reserve, they invest a part of the reserve, and the yield of that, that's the profit for their shareholders. Now, how much money do they make? Well, we can actually estimate that. So if you are a for-profit stablecoin issuer, then you have your market cap, and then some percentage of that you are going to buy T-bills. So let's say that's like 80%. And then on average, you'll get a yield of like 3.4% on that money. So if you fill in this formula for some of the most popular stablecoins, you'll see that, for instance, Tether makes an estimated 1.78 billion per year this way. Circle makes 1.2 billion per year, and Binance also makes a whole lot of money. Now, these are estimates, right? It goes up and down a little bit. But in general, this is a pretty wild business model, because it basically means that as a part of your business model, you just have a money printer. Now, what we're doing, Glow works the exact same way with one difference, which is that we donate 100% of the yield to give people in extreme poverty a basic income. So whereas this was how it worked with for-profits, we do the same thing, except for this last step where the profit doesn't go to shareholders, but the profit goes to people in extreme poverty. And we can do that because the Glow dollar is issued by a nonprofit organization. We are backed by Sid Sibrandy, who some of you might know as the co-founder and CEO of GitLab. So he gives us philanthropic donations. That's how we pay our own expenses, our salaries and stuff like that. And because of that, we can donate 100% of the yield to people in extreme poverty. Extreme poverty is this technical term. It's defined as having to live on less than $2.15 per day. So it's the worst kind of poverty in the world. And right now, about 650 million people still live in extreme poverty. So what we're going to do is we're going to give people in extreme poverty a basic income of about $40 a month. Of course, that's not a lot of money, but for them, it is a lot of money. And it helps them improve their lives a little bit and allows them to spend that on, for instance, school fees or cattle, or to start a business, or improve the water irrigation in their town, and things like that. And these basic incomes will be distributed to people in countries such as Kenya and Liberia. Every about $18,000 of Glow that we grow in market cap allows us to generate enough yield to give one person a basic income. Now, what this means is, and that's the exciting part, is that whatever you are building, you can make that project lift people out of poverty just by using a stablecoin. So whether you're working on a DAO or a DeFi platform or some payment processor, if you contribute to the Glow dollar market cap, then your project is lifting people out of poverty. So for instance, there is a DAO that governs the .eth domains, the ENS DAO. They hold 2.5 million of USDC. Now, if they would convert that to Glow, then they would be lifting 140 people out of poverty at no cost to them. So that is, I think, pretty interesting. We're launching early next year. If you are interested in what we're doing, then you can sign up for the waitlist at glowdollar.org/Infura. That was what I wanted to tell you. But we have one more thing to share with you.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Harm. I'm the CTO of Glow. And so we have one more big thing, which is that aside from Glow being a good thing to do for altruistic reasons and making the world a better place, there's also a very pragmatic and technical and financial reason why you may want to use Glow. That's because transferring Glow is actually 10% cheaper than the big other well-known stablecoins out there. This is because we have implemented a gas optimization, which essentially allows us to check for deny-listed addresses. So these are typically addresses that are sanctioned by the US government or are known to hold stolen or scammed funds in a different way than all of these other stablecoins do. We essentially stuff them, as it's called, in the user balance that's kept within the smart contract. And that's more efficient because then you don't need to read the deny list or blacklist data in another part of the smart contract, reducing one read. This is essentially based on a proposal by Alex Kruger, who did this in a pull request for USDC. He did that over 8 months ago, as far as he knows, and as far as we know, they aren't planning to pick it up, and they haven't picked it up. And we've got his permission and go ahead essentially to implement it ourselves. And so we did, making the Glow 10% more efficient to actually transfer your Glow dollars. And there's a nice little estimate here of how much could have been saved. Approximately 700K less gas if USDC would have implemented this in June 2022. So not only good for the world, also good for the usage of the network and the amount of money spent on gas. And I think that was it. Back to you, Jasper.
Yeah, thanks so much. That's what we wanted to share with you today. Again, if you're interested, glowdollar.org/Infura, and we'll keep you updated on our launch.
Cool. Thank you, Jasper. That's such a simple but clever and brilliant idea to collateralize a stablecoin with U.S. Treasuries and using that yield to provide basic income for people in developing markets. That's amazing. It's giving people that foundation they need to like build their life up and bring themselves up in their quality of life. That's an admirable mission. So it's awesome.
Yeah, thanks so much. I know that crypto hasn't been in a good spot lately. Pretty much everyone hates us at this moment, except for the people who are actually in the crypto industry.
I like crypto.
And me too. But I had to defend my work at some birthday parties lately. I won't pretend that will change the narrative, but hopefully in just a tiny bit when we launch, we can show how crypto can be used to also give and not just take.
Yeah, using DeFi and finance for the people. Yeah,
that's
cool.
Right.
Cool. Thank you. That was awesome. So going to kick it over to Hsin-Ju from Dystopia Labs. Tell us about all the awesome events you're going to have in 2023. Oh, hey, I think you're muted. Redo.
Here we go. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
So just wanted to say I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me. Vera is awesome. We're planning on putting on 5 Ethereum conferences in 2023, and we love to have all of you guys there. We're putting on DeFi Denver, ETH Austin, ETH Portland, ETH Seattle, ETH Vancouver. Let me share the link in the chat. And right now we're looking for speakers and sponsors. So just go to the website and apply if you're interested. And that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for letting us share.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're underselling your events a little bit, because they're super great. These are cities and areas that aren't covered by ETH Global. So it's amazing for organizations like yours to come in and throw these local events that get really good traction and have awesome speakers. I've attended a bunch of them. They're super cool. So I recommend all of you sign up and check these out.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I think we got some questions. So
we do have a couple questions. I'm back on cam to deliver the
would you
MCs.
mind to? I'm sorry. Would you mind to unshare your screen, Hsin-Ju? Thank you.
All right. So we actually have a really spicy question that I'd be curious about Henri's take on, because there have been a number of different ZK EVM projects announced, and folks have asked a couple different clarifications around the differences between the two ZK EVM programs, or the different ones that exist in the space, and as well as, Henri, if you wanted to speak to a little bit about, do people sacrifice security at all when it comes to ZK networks? Before you take that, let me just take the diplomatic approach, which is that from the user's approach, there's really no difference in ZK EVM implementations. It's really just the different approaches that different networks are taking. And ideally, I've heard a lot of really cool discussions around multi-prover solution, sort of having the different networks being able to agree on a prover solution that can accommodate different implementations, similar to the way that Ethereum mainnet accommodates different Ethereum execution and consensus clients. But Henri, I'm curious to hear your thoughts about this, as well as are there any trade-offs in terms of security with ZK networks?
Oh, I think you muted, Henri.
Now you can hear me. Is that better? Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. So this is a really interesting question, and I think there are two components here. One is the proving system, and one is the VM you're implementing, right? So I'll talk a little bit about the proving system. So right now there are various proving systems. We're using a system called Proofs with a T, and the other popular one is Snark Proofs. The reason we chose Stark Proofs is Stark Proofs have a disadvantage. Their disadvantage is that the proofs you need to verify are a bit bigger, and so they're a bit more expensive to verify on Ethereum. That's the big downside. The big upside they have, though, is that they're much cheaper and faster to generate. And they don't need a trusted setup, meaning they're absolutely trustless. And the third one is that they rely on cryptographic primitives. Specifically, they rely on one cryptographic primitive, which is SHA-256, whereas Snarks rely on ECDSA. ECDSA is not quantum secure. SHA-256 is. So Starks are safe for that. So that's why we chose Stark Proofs. Now, Stark Proofs come in a lot of different flavors. And I think, I'm not sure we're at the stage yet where we can converge on one way to do proofs, because, a lot of teams are experimenting with a lot of different stuff. So I'm guessing that this standard will eventually emerge with usage and with team getting more confidence on what is the right set of parameters. And then I'll say that, all this research is happening in public, both what we publish and what others are publishing. So we take and learn from each other. And I think that if somebody finds something that works, there's no reason why the others won't converge there. So that's really for the proving system, right? And in terms of security for Starks specifically, well, I think Starks are inherently more secure than Snarks for the reason outlined before. Yeah, I don't know if that answers your question on security specifically, right? And as far as having various provers, once you define your proving algorithm, you can have various implementation of the same prover. That's the beauty of it. Go figure. Your prover can be closed source, but the proof can be seen as valid. You don't need to know the code of the prover for you to know that the proof is valid. that actually is really cool. It means that you can have competing prover that can decide how they put the shader on how open source they want to be. We at Starkware are going to go with open source because there's no way you can have a decentralized network if you don't have at least an open source prover. So what we're working towards open source, but it's interesting to see that this kind of use case can emerge there. And as far as the difference between ZK VMs and ZK EVMs is the following. ZK EVMs are optimizing for developer ease of use. They're optimizing for developers who want to use Solidity and have everything they're familiar with because it's Solidity, so it's the same tooling and everything. ZK EVM and ZK VMs optimize for performances. The EVM is made to work on a specific substrate, which is your computer, which works with Boolean logic. It's executed over transistors. ZK VMs inherently are made to be executed over polynomials, which is arithmetics logic. And so different operations have different costs in both paradigms. And the EVM is optimized for the Boolean logic one, which means that executing EVM code in the ZK logic will have a huge overhead natively. So this means that while ZK EVM will be more comfortable to use, that's for sure, there's no arguing there, for in the short term, they will have a huge overhead, meaning you won't be able to do as much with your smart contracts as what you will be able to do with a ZK VM, right? So with, for example, using Cairo code. So that's it's just a matter of what you're optimizing for. We think that giving developers power, raw power, even if it means learning a new language and even if it means getting out of your comfort zone, brings huge benefits. And we think there are some people who are willing to do that. So we want to find these people and have them experiment. So, if you're not scared, go and take a look. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think that's a great way to cover it. Did you also mention about Stark quantum resistance as well in terms of security?
Yeah, so in terms of security, Stark proofs rely on one cryptographic postulate, which is non-collision in SHA-256 hashing. And if this holds, then Stark proofs are sound and are secure. And Snark proofs rely on this and also non-collision and non-breakable thing in ECDSA. ECDSA is not quantum resistant, SHA-256 is. So since they rely on both, they're not quantum resistant. Since Stark proofs rely on just one, it is.
Amazing. Super concise way of covering a very complicated process.
Cool. So one thing I want to mention also, because there's often this question, which is taken. People say, "Oh, but Solidity is safer because it's a newer language, and Cairo is all new, and so it's not as battle tested as Solidity is." Small trivia: do you know how much value is stored by Cairo right now, and since when?
Like the TVL in DeFi?
Yeah, or the settled volume. Something like that.
Let's say $10 million. $10 million, I'd say. 10 million USD.
So it's in the billions, actually.
What?
And yeah, take DYDX. Go figure. DYDX passed the settled volume, I think they passed $1 trillion last year. And I'm not making this up, like literally $1 trillion using Cairo. Yeah. Cairo is right now it's the 4th most used smart contract language in the whole blockchain industry. It's on par with Rust.
Wow.
So it's newer, but it is fairly battle tested.
In the
and
US,
it's been around for like 2 years.
Yeah, in the US, we're not that familiar with DYDX because like perpetuals are not legal here. So that might be a regional thing. But yeah, no, they're a huge platform.
And you're not familiar either with Sorare, who is also, because it's fantasy football or fantasy soccer football, you would say in the US, but
or soccer.
But it is a very big use case, and both are using Cairo to secure their business.
Super cool.
was hoping not to bring up the World Cup or soccer. I'm very sorry, Henri. Just did not want to bring that up. But you did it.
Oh,
you
yeah.
did it, not me. I'm very sorry. It's a good answer. Great answer.
It was an amazing game. It was an amazing game. I'm so proud of our players.
Amazing. Totally. Alrighty, we have a couple questions about limits for IPFS within the Infura network. And we're going to have to get back to folks on that. But essentially, the free tier, we get a ton of great value for literally $0 that folks can have number of requests and limits. And if you check out the documentation, it can give you a little bit more information about that. Let's see here. I think that covers a lot of questions about ZK stuff that Henri did a great job covering. I don't know if we wanted to do one more, just round the horn. If people wanted to do Henri, Jasper, and Hsin-Ju wanted to do just one more shout out. But I think we're good in terms of questions.
Cool. So, okay, go ahead, guys. Henri, did you have anything else you want to mention?
No, I just like I said, I think just want to reiterate that Starknet has a lot of promises and a lot of offer to developers. So if you come, make sure to stay around because there's a lot of updates, and so you need to work on your code. But it's interesting, and I want to give a big shout out for the devs at Infura who are keeping up with our updates months after months, and not easy ones, right? So we're very again, I'm very impressed with the work you guys are doing for the community. So huge thanks to that. Thanks, man. Thanks, thank you all.
Absolutely, thank you, Jasper. Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Thanks so much for inviting us here. It has been by far the biggest audience we have shared our humble, small, unlaunched project with. So that is an amazing honor. We're already getting a lot of follows and friendly DMs from people who like the concept. So yeah, this has been amazing. Thanks so much. I'll again share some links here. So if anyone is interested in, when we launch, hopefully January 2023, building on top of Glow, whatever you're building, whether it's a DAO, DeFi project, anything that uses stablecoins could use Glow, then please sign up for our waitlist, and then we're honored to have your support.
Yeah. Let's give the developing world a glow up. Let it be known that I said that term. And Hsin-Ju, any closing thoughts about your upcoming events in 2023?
Just wanted to thank you for inviting us here. For our events, we're looking for more speakers. So I'm going to drop the link. Just go to the website and apply. We'd love to have you.
Cool. Yeah. So I guess we're going to see you in Denver for DeFi Denver, occurring alongside ETH Denver. Awesome. So yeah, thank you to all our guests. Awesome content, like super awesome. Yeah. So yeah, we're just going to go over a couple resources real quick. Sorry, Starknet. But so Consensus is launching a beta for our ZK EVM, a Ethereum compatible ZK network. So I know you can't click on this link, but we will be sending out these slides, and I think we'll be posting the links in chat as well. Yeah, and we'll be sending out the links for Global Income Coin. Give the developing world a glow up. Be sure to check out all the events by Dystopia Labs. They're going to be in ETH Denver at DeFi Denver March 1st. And be sure to follow all of these amazing people on social media. Some just other announcements. If you haven't seen Emily Lin, she's a developer advocate on Truffle. She has an amazing series called Web3 Unleashed, where she creates a NFT rental marketplace from scratch, bit by bit, writing the code live. Be sure to join us on Discord if you have any follow-up questions or need any support. And be sure to follow us on Twitter and YouTube. So we've had an amazing year in 2022. It's amazing how much has happened. The merge happened. So many awesome events. ETH Denver, Dev Connect in Amsterdam, DevCon in Bogota. Just want to thank the Infura community so much for sharing this journey with us. And you know what? Let's hope that 2023 is even better. Yeah, so thank you all so much. And yeah, keep on building.
Thanks for hosting, Chris.
Definitely.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.